Alright, Daniel Jeremiah has come out with his first mock draft of the season. Daniel Jeremiah is a really respected draft analyst in this kind of space. The big four, I think, is Daniel Jeremiah, Jordan Reed, Mel Kiper, and Dane Brugler. So those are the four that I really respect. So it's going to be interesting to see what Daniel Jeremiah thinks early on of this draft class. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, moving on to number 1, we got the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams. That's no surprise. I mean, Bears fans seem to hate this, but it's probably going to happen, Bears fans, so you got to prepare yourself. I mean, Justin Fields is going to demand a lot of money soon, so why not just reset it? You guys aren't there yet to compete. Get a good quarterback like Caleb Williams, because I feel like Bears fans, just because they like Justin Fields so much, they're not giving Caleb Williams a fair, analysis. Just watch some Caleb Williams games with an unbiased eye and really just watch how good he is, because he's a very good quarterback prospect. I feel like Bears fans always nitpick on the very little things he does wrong, how sometimes he doesn't play within structure the way you would want him to. Just stop trying to nitpick because you like Justin Fields so much and just watch Caleb Williams. He's a really good quarterback, and he'll be cheaper than Justin Fields in the long run, so I think it's just the smartest decision. Moving on to the Commanders, we got Drake May, another kind of stock pick. This is probably going to be the 2 picks come draft day. I mean, I don't see much changing, but it's Drake May to the Commanders. I mean, Drake May is a very good quarterback as well. He's more of that quarterback that can play within structure, and I feel like that's what Washington needs. I mean, you just need a guy that can get Terry McLaurin the ball, because Terry McLaurin is a very good receiver, and he's played with pretty bad quarterbacks. So just get Terry a serviceable quarterback like Drake May, and I think you guys will have a good jump start to your rebuild. Moving on to the Patriots, we got Jaden Daniels, another kind of popular pick. Now, I could see them also going Marvin Harrison Jr. here, but with the new coaching staff, I think it's just time for a full reset, at least at the quarterback position and on the offensive side of the ball. I think the defense is a little too good to go on a full rebuild, but you got a new coaching staff, so why not try to get that nice franchise quarterback to begin the rebuild with? I think you got to take the swing, but you could also take Marvin Harrison and just have that safe pick, because the Patriots also have nobody to really throw to. So Marvin Harrison, Jaden Daniels, I'm fine with either one. Moving on to the Cardinals. Yep, if Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to the Cardinals at 4, the Cardinals are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Cardinals don't need a quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best non-quarterback prospect in the draft by far. And if they bring Hollywood Brown back, having Marvin Harrison Jr. and Marquise Brown for Kyler Murray to throw to, that's going to be a scary offense. It's like thunder and lightning. Marvin Harrison's that big jump ball threat who can really just do everything. And then Hollywood Brown could be that deep threat. It's a very nice offense. Moving on, we got the Chargers. Oh, wow. Rome Odunze before Malik Neighbors. That's interesting. The Chargers need weapons. I mean, Mike Evans and Keenan Allen could both not be on the team next season, although I do see them keeping one, and most likely it's going to be Keenan Allen, but they could both be cap casualties this offseason. If the Chargers want to go full reset on that offense, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams might not be on the team. But I do see them kind of keeping Keenan Allen, but they need another receiver. I mean, I know it's still early to say this, but I'm pretty sure they might have missed on Quentin Johnston last year. So why not just try again with a way better prospect than Rome Odunze? Although I do think Malik Neighbors will be a better pick here. Rome Odunze is a very solid option, and it's probably going to be a top 10 pick. Moving on to the Giants, we got Malik Neighbors. Now, this will be a dream come true for Giants fans. I mean, they need a weapon. They've been starving for a number 1 option since we traded Odell Beckham Jr. So why not get another really good LSU wide receiver and hope that he can kind of create the same magic that OBJ did in 2016. So having Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt for Daniel Jones to throw to, I mean, that's a very solid wide receiver core with Darren Waller. As long as he stays healthy, could also be on the team. I mean, you got your deep threat in Jalen Hyatt. You got your intermediate to short area, slot receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson. And then you got Malik Neighbors, who can really just get open on all facets of the field. That's just a really good wide receiver core, and it's young, and it can develop with Daniel Jones. So if Daniel Jones is the answer at QB, you got to get him weapons. Moving on, we got the Titans taking Joe Alt. They got their pick of the first offensive tackle off the board, and I do think Joe Alt is the better prospect than a guy like Olu Fashanu and any of the other tackles like J.C. Latham, Talise Fuaga. I think Joe Alt's the most solid pick, and just rebuilding the offensive line. I mean, Derrick Henry's going to be gone this offseason, but you got a really good running back behind him in Tajay Spears. So having just a really good offensive line for him to run behind, and it'll give Will Levis some more time to throw. I mean, he's a young quarterback, and with young quarterbacks, you want to give them time to throw. So again, Joe Alt, having Peter Skoronski, and I assume Nicholas Petit-Ferrier, like that's a good start to the offensive line. And you just got to get Will Levis some weapons after that, maybe this day 2 area. So I like that pick. I like it a lot. Moving on, we got the Falcons taking the first defensive player off the board in Dallas Turner. I do think Dallas is going to be the first edge rusher off the board. I don't know if he's the best or my favorite edge rusher. I do like Jared Verse more, and I do think Laiatu Latu is going to have the most productive season, at least rookie season. So when you take Dallas Turner, you're kind of, betting on the upside, because Dallas Turner is very athletic. He's got so many raw traits. He just hasn't fully put it together yet, in my opinion. But if you want the guy with the highest upside, you take Dallas Turner. If you want the guy that's going to give you production day 1, you're going to take Laiatu Latu. And if you want a guy kind of in the middle who's still got a really high upside, but is also going to produce at a pretty high level his rookie season, then you take Jared Verse. So you really just got to take your poison, or pick your poison, and I'm not mad at the Dallas Turner pick. He's just got insane upside. Moving on to the number 9 pick, we got the Bears taking Jared Verse. So they got Caleb Williams on the offensive side, and then Jared Verse with the 9th pick. Like I said, I really like Jared Verse. He's kind of a mix between both other edge rushers. Like, he's going to give you a pretty productive rookie season, in my opinion, and he's also got really high upside, just because he hasn't played the edge rusher position for a while. I mean, he was recruited, I'm pretty sure, as a tight end at Albany. Then he transferred to Florida State, and he's not gotten as many reps as some of these other guys. So, I mean, that's where the high upside comes from. So, I'm not mad at that pick at all. Jared Verse is probably my favorite edge rusher in the class. Not saying he's the best, though. Moving on, we got the Jets taking Talise Fuaga. Isn't Olu Fashanu still on the board? Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, Daniel. You got the Jets taking Talise Fuaga over Olu Fashanu. I'm pretty sure the way that Daniel Jeremiah does his mock drafts is that he kind of does his mock drafts based on what he hears around the NFL, and he does his big boards kind of around what he thinks. So he might be saying that Talise Fuaga is a better prospect than Olu Fashanu, at least in the NFL's eyes. I don't know about that. I mean, Talise Fuaga is a really good prospect. He's probably going to be my OT3, at least for right now. But, I mean, Olu Fashanu, I have close to that blue chip category. What the best of the best in that class, the guys who are going to be all pros one day. I don't quite have Talise Fuaga there, so I do agree with the offensive tackle pick here at 10, but I would much rather have Olu Fashanu. So it's going to be interesting to see how far Olu falls, because him falling out of the top 10 is pretty hard to believe, in my opinion. At number 11, we got Byron Murphy to the Vikings. Now, the hype on Byron Murphy is insane right now. I haven't watched any Byron Murphy tape since, the beginning of the season. So, I mean, I got to rewatch him. He's top priority on my watch list coming up. Maybe I just haven't seen him with Byron Murphy. Maybe he's just improved drastically. But I had him more that, mid-second round, early day 2 range. But being almost a top 10 pick is saying that you're a really, really good player. So I'm going to have to rewatch him. I haven't had him this high. In my last mock draft I did the other day, I believe I had him going early second round to the Giants. So maybe I got to rewatch him. Maybe I'm missing something. So I'll reserve my right to critique this pick until I fully watch Byron Murphy again. Moving on to the Broncos, we got Terrion Arnold being the first cornerback off the board. Again, kind of like Byron Murphy, Terrion Arnold's just getting insane hype right now. I mean, up until a few days ago, I still had Kool-Aid McKinstry above Terrion Arnold in my cornerback rankings, which are coming out in the next few days. I'll have cornerback rankings out, and then next week I'll probably have edge rushers and offensive tackle rankings out. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe for that. But Terrion Arnold, I really like. I just want to see him play against #1 receivers because they're at Alabama. Kool-Aid McKinstry is guarding more than #1 receiver. Although Terran Arnold was getting thrown at a lot because they didn't want to throw Kool-Aid's way. So you get to see a lot of what Terran Arnold's about. Because with a lot of DB kind of watches, a lot of it's just boring because they don't get thrown at because they're one of the best defenders on the field. But with Terran Arnold, they targeted him way more because they're scared of Kool-Aid. So you got to see kind of how he plays the ball in the air, how he can, stay sticky in coverage. So I really like Terran Arnold. I might not have him this high, but it's pretty cool having the Broncos, draft another Alabama cornerback to have probably a really good defensive back tandem with Pat Surtain and Terran Arnold. That's a really good defensive back room. So I'm not totally mad at it, but I think a guy like Nate Wiggins or Cooper DeJean would be a better pick here. Moving on to the Raiders, and there we go. Finally, Olu Fashanu's off the board. So he's got the Jets taking Tulifuaga at 10, and then 13 taking Olu Fashanu to the Raiders. I really, really think this should be flip-flopped because the Jets are in need of a left tackle. Tulifuaga plays right tackle. The Raiders are in need of a right tackle. Olu Fashanu plays left tackle because Colton Miller's a top 10 left tackle in the league. So Olu Fashanu, if he goes to the Raiders, is going to play the right side. So why not? I don't understand why the Jets wouldn't take a left tackle if they need a left tackle and then have the Raiders take a right tackle because they need a right tackle. Either way, I mean, the Raiders are making out really good. Even if Olu Fashanu's got to shift over to the right side, getting him at 13 is a steal. Moving on, we got the Saints taking Bo Nix. So he's the 4th quarterback off the board. I'm not mad at it. I'm surprised he doesn't have a guy like J.J. McCarthy yet, just because apparently the NFL is really high on J.J. McCarthy. But I like Bo Nix. Pretty sure I had him as my 4th best quarterback in my rankings I did about a month ago. So, I mean, I like him. Michael Penix has shown a lot as well in the playoffs. And the J.J. McCarthy is just, NFL teams are just in love with him. So, I don't really think you can go wrong. I also don't think any of those 3 quarterbacks I just talked about are worth a 14th overall pick. If I'm a team like the Raiders, Saints, Broncos, a QBDD team in this early-ish round 1, I would just wait till day 2 and hope to get a Michael Penix or a J.J. McCarthy. Moving on to the Colts, they got Brock Bowers at 15. I mean, it's so weird having Brock Bowers fall this far just because he's so good, but he's a tight end. Positional value does play a pretty big role in the NFL draft, and teams have probably seen what happened to Kyle Pitts, who was a top 5 pick, and he hasn't really worked out. And I think Brock Bowers is about just as good as Kyle Pitts. A different player for sure, but just as good of a prospect. And teams are probably just a little scared to draft a guy that high when it's a position of not so much value. But for the Colts here, getting a weapon for Anthony Richardson is, in my opinion, top priority. Because you got Michael Pittman, you got Josh Downs, and then getting Brock Bowers to be that, intermediate kind of playmaker. That's a really solid offense. And you just want to get Anthony Richardson some, just big threats. So that way you just make life as easy as possible for him, because we all know he's not the most accurate guy in the world, but he can make big plays when he needs to make big plays. So why not get him some big play players? That's how I look at it. Moving on to the Seahawks, we got the Seahawks taking Troy Fautanu. Okay, so I'm assuming most people are going to move him to guard, and the Seahawks don't need a tackle. They got Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas on the ends. Getting a guy like Troy Fautanu as a guard, I mean, that's a really, really, really good offensive line. And when you got 2 really good running backs in Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, I mean, you got to build your offensive line. So I like that pick a lot. Moving on, we got the Jaguars taking Quinion Mitchell at 17. Now, I'm a big fan of Quinion Mitchell. I haven't quite had him going this high. I don't think I've seen anyone take him this high. But he's a really good cornerback. But you got to think, you got guys like Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Nate Wiggins still on the board. You take one of those 3 guys before Quinion Mitchell. So I like the cornerback pick here, just not the right cornerback. In my opinion, I think Nate Wiggins should be going way before Quinion Mitchell. Moving on, we got the Bengals taking J.C. Latham. I mean, Bengals need offensive line help. You got to protect Joe Burrow. I mean, he was struggling with injuries all last season, so why not just get him some protection? I like the pick here. And I think it's the right offensive tackle as well, with Talise Fuaga, Olu, and Joe Alt off the board. I think J.C. Latham's the next guy up. I think he's a tier above the rest of the guys still on the board, like a Jordan Morgan, Tyler Guyton, Kingsley Suamataia. Like, I think J.C. Latham's a tick above those guys, so I like the pick here. Moving on to the Rams, we got Leatu Latu. I like this pick. I'm pretty sure I did this pick in my mock draft the other day. Or maybe, no, I think I had him going to the Cowboys. But anyways, Leatu Latu, they need help everywhere on that defense except for interior defensive linemen, because they got Aaron Donald and Kobe Turner. But basically, it's a BPA on the defense, as long as it's not like a guy like Jerzon Newton. So I like this pick a lot. They could have also went Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and I wouldn't have been mad at it. Moving on, we got the Steelers taking Amarius Mims. I like this pick a lot. It's a good storyline as well, having Broderick Jones and Amarius Mims, both college teammates, both Georgia tackles, to be your tackles. I mean, it's a match made in heaven. I like it a lot. The Steelers either got to go offensive tackle or cornerback. I think really just go BPA on whoever's still on the board. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been mad at Nate Wiggins, but Amarius Mims I'm a big fan of, so I'm not mad at that pick. We got 21. We got the Dolphins taking Brian Thomas Jr. That is a disgusting wide receiver core. You got two speedsters and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and then you got Brian Thomas, who's just that big physical guy. I don't even want to think about that. That's just insane. I mean, sure, I like it. 22. We got the Eagles taking Tyler Guyton. Again, Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean. Eagles need defensive back help because James Bradbury was terrible this past season. And Darius Slay's getting up there in age. I don't think Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks are going to be their successors. So I like a cornerback pick here, especially when Nate Wiggins is still on the board. But Tyler Guyton I like a lot. Having him learn behind Lane Johnson for a season or two and then taking his place. I mean, Eagles just know how to develop offensive tackles. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of Tyler Guyton, if he goes to the Eagles, I know he's going to be at least a solid tackle in the league one day. So I'm not mad at it. 23, we got the Texans taking Chop Robinson. I mean, Jonathan Grenard might leave them in free agency. I think they should bring him back, but if he does leave, Chop Robinson's a good pick. I don't really think Chop Robinson's a first-round type of talent, but I think he's probably the best on the board still. I mean, actually, no, Braylon Trice is still on the board. I like Braylon Trice a lot more than Chop, but Chop's got a lot of upside. He just hasn't, fully put it together yet. But having him and Will Anderson, that's a really young edge rush duo. So I would have took Braylon Trice, but Chop Robinson's a fine pick, I guess. And that's only if Jonathan Grenard leaves in free agency. 24, we got the Cowboys taking Jordan Morgan. So I'm guessing with this pick, they're kind of keeping Tyler Smith on the interior, which isn't a bad move just because in the NFC East, you got really good interior defensive guys like Dexter Lawrence, Jonathan Allen, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. So you really need some good guards in the NFC East. So having Tyler Smith stay at right guard or left guard, which one does he play? He plays a guard, I think left guard. And then having Jordan Morgan be on that tackle spot, I think that's a really good choice. Or you could go, if Troy Fautanu was still on the board, you could go Troy Fautanu, have him play guard, and then have Tyler Smith kick out to left tackle. Either way, I'm not mad at it. The pick here is offensive tackle, or at least offensive line, so I'm not mad at it. Packers taking Graham Barton. I like it. I like Graham Barton a lot. He's a fringe first-round guy for me, but yeah, I assume they're going to have him playing inside because he does play tackle at Duke, but he's definitely projected more as a guard in the NFL. And I assume he would be taking, I guess, John Runyon's spot. I assume, or maybe they play him at center. I'm not sure. I like the pick. I would more rather, if they're going to go offensive line, I'd rather get a tackle. Just because David Bakhtiari's really old. He might get traded. He might retire. Like, he's up there in age. He's not the same left tackle he used to be. So I like more of a tackle pick here than a guard pick. But offensive line, I'm never going to get mad at a team for drafting. Moving to the Buccaneers, we got Ennis Rakestraw. Has he forgotten about Kool-Aid McKinstry, Nate Wiggins, and Cooper DeJean? I'm confused. Did I miss them? I don't think so. I like Ennis Rakestraw a lot, but when he's going above guys like Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Cooper DeJean, it's just hard for me to like the pick at all. I mean, cool. Cornerback is a cool pick here, but Nate Wiggins should be the guy, not Ennis Rakestraw. Arizona, finally, one of the guys are picked. Arizona Cardinals taking Cooper DeJean. That's an absolute steal. Cooper DeJean can play outside corner, he can play slot corner, he can play safety. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere on that secondary. Just a great pick. That's all I'm going to say is great pick. Him and Marvin Harrison Jr. in this draft. Oh my gosh, the Cardinals are making out great. Great pick by the Cardinals. Buffalo Bills going Jerzon Newton. I forgot he was still on the board. Good pick. I do like the Bills taking wide receiver here to replace Gabe Davis. With guys like Troy Franklin, A.D. Mitchell still on the board, I'd rather see them take that, but they also need a defensive tackle, so Jerzon Newton, in my opinion, is a top 15 prospect in the draft, so getting him at 28, you can't be mad at it. 29, we got the Chiefs taking Tez Walker. Okay, I like Tez Walker a lot. I think if the Chiefs are picking receiver here, I think Troy Franklin, A.D. Mitchell are a bit better picks than Tez Walker, but that's not to say I don't like Tez Walker. I think he's a really good kind of over-the-top option. So him and Rashee Rice, having Tez Walker be that deep threat, and then Rashee Rice working that short to intermediate portion of the field, I like that a lot. 30, finally, he barely made it into the first round. Then we got the Lions taking Nate Wiggins. That's an A+++++ pick if the Lions pick Nate Wiggins at 30. I mean, Lions need cornerback help, outside corner at least, and Nate Wiggins on the board at 30. You take that in a heartbeat. Love the pick. But I do not think Nate Wiggins is going to be making it to 30. 31, here we go. Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Niners. Again, great pick. Kool-Aid McKinstry. It's a little more likely that Kool-Aid McKinstry falls to 31, but I still don't see that. 49ers need cornerback help. Kool-Aid McKinstry is a top 4 corner in the draft. I like it. And then with the last pick of the first round, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking Troy Franklin. I say it again, Troy Franklin is my favorite player in this class. I'm not saying he's the best. I don't think he's the best receiver. I don't think he's the top 3 best receiver. But Troy Franklin, the route running ability, the contested catch ability, he's had a bit of a drop issue last season, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Pairing him up with Zay Flowers, chef's kiss, because Rashad Bateman might be leaving. He hasn't, lived up to the hype. Odell Beckham was more of a 1-year rental. So the Ravens need a wide receiver, and Troy Franklin is a perfect pick. I love that pick. And I think that's going to be it. Yep. Let me know what you guys think of Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. There's a few confusing picks in here, but overall I liked it. So yeah, that's going to do it. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out a lot. And as always, I'm the Draft Nerd, and thanks for watching.